Hi, Scott.
So we'll give folks a little bit of time, see if we make a quorum today.
Scott, this is Claudio. I'm on.
Okay, thanks, Claudio. Yep, I recognize the phone number.
She was open by food tastes good. But it's very hard to find gluten free donuts.
You pull in your eyes to things that taste good.
That are gluten free.
That's called synesthesia.
What now?
They're frozen.
Huh? Okay.
And at 1 o'clock, Scott Bruner, I see a couple of additional panel members that have joined. Thanks, Jason, Mary, and Claudio. We'll go another couple of minutes and see if we can get one or two more and then start the project updates. We're also waiting for our Pulse folks to get on as well. So if you can be patient, I promise we'll be short. It'll be short either way. It may just be slightly delayed till we start. Thanks. Hi, Commissioner. Please be safe while you're driving.
Yes, yes, I am. Hello, how are you?
Good. That gets us 6. So I'm going to take a chance on starting. And if we get a 7th, we'll approve minutes from the last meeting. But if not, we'll hold off on that. Tanya and Nicole are ready. Everything ready on your side. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. So I'll call a meeting to order. Scott Bruner with KDADS. Thanks for joining today. I was going to apologize, but I think I need to do that. Last month, we talked about maybe not needing a meeting in October, but in looking at what's going on with the project, I did want to take a little, I guess, chair's discretion and make sure the panel members were and the public that is watching or can watch this meeting are aware of the bid process that's going on that Sedgwick County is operating for the construction contract. Some information has been posted about that. So I wanted to make sure the panel was aware of it. And we had a public opportunity to make that available. So that's what we're going to do today. I think then we won't probably need to meet in November, given where things are with the bid process. And then in December, probably will need to meet as we get close to completing the process of awarding the contract. I think you'll all want to be aware of who's been awarded that contract or who's in that process. So we'll get a month off eventually, but it isn't going to be this month. Our second item was to approve the minutes, but we'll pass on that for now, and we'll jump to the request for bids information release. And Tanya's going to share some information about that and show you what's been posted by Sedgwick County. So Tanya, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. Tanya Cole, Assistant County Manager for Sedgwick County. So just to give you an update, what we did for putting out the bids for construction. This is kind of a first for Sedgwick County, I believe. And that is because we have basically a short turnaround to receive the bids for on the plans for this mental health hospital. So what we did was we put out kind of a marketing on the mental health hospital, and we did that last Friday. And we tried to put out as many documents that we could, with the exception, of course, of the specification and the plans. And so I'm going to go through what those documents are. And I think that Scott sent you out the links for what those documents were, but I'm going to just pull them up and I'll speak to them briefly. So the first item is the advertisement for bids. And what that is just speaking to the project information. And we put out the project timeline. And let me back up just a little bit. The intent of putting this out is twofold. One is just to kind of, if you will, just kind of spur some excitement on this project and give contractors as much information as we can without dropping the plans. Because the turnaround time on this is basically a little bit short of 4 weeks, which is not a whole lot of time for contractors to get the plans on such a big project. So, putting it out now is hopefully allowing them to have in their mind to get with, subcontractors, start to let them know, hey, the plans are going to drop. We're going to need you to review the plans, just kind of help them to set up to get everything ready. So again, we tried to drop as much information as we can without actually dropping those plans. So now moving forward, what we did was we put out the advertisement. So it shows the project timeline in there. So when the plans are going to drop, when we'll have a mandatory pre-bid meeting with those contractors, the date that the last questions could be received, the date that we would put out our last addendum. That's not to say that we would have many addendums before that, but that's the date that the last addendum would be issued. The dates that the bids would be due to Sedgwick County Purchasing, the date and the time that the bids would be opened, and then when it would go before the Board of Bids and Contracts for award, and then when it would actually be awarded would be in front of the Board of County Commissioners and that date. And that date is Wednesday, December 11th. And then for the most part, that just kind of, advertisement just speaks a little bit more on some of those details. You want to hit on that advertisement? Okay. So that's what I'm speaking to there. I think the other thing that's in there that I think it speaks to is, if I'm not mistaken, is it speaks to the amount of liquidated damages per day, and that's $3,000 per day if it goes past the date of substantial completion, which is October 31 of 2026. Okay, so the next document, Nicole, if you can grab that, was the instructions for qualifications. So the Sedgwick County team, KDADS, and our ARPA consultants, along with Pulse, sat down and worked through the qualifications that we have for our bidders. And if you can go to page 4 of that. What we're asking for the qualifications, and we wanted to make sure that we had some boundaries for this, but not too tight, that we didn't allow for competition, if you will. So on that particular section, I'm going to point to the very top of the page. What we're asking for is that they come with experience in a project that they had previous experience on with behavioral health or judicial or forensic that was greater than 70,000 square feet, either ground up or renovation in the last 5 years, along with a healthcare project in the last 10 years, and 3 projects with either state, local, or federal government in the last 10 years. And so that is, and there's a lot more detail, of course, in this document. They'll have to fill out documents and submit this with their bid on the 24th. But that is basically the parameters that we're looking for in experience that these bidders would have to submit. And Scott, please feel free to jump in at any point that if you want to add to that. But that is, those are the qualifications that we're looking at from bidders. The next document is basically a two-page project description that we want contractors to basically understand the depth of this project, who are the stakeholders in this project, who they're partnering up with is, you know, a unique project between state of Kansas and Sedgwick County, how it's being funded, of course, where the land is that's been donated, and just various details of the project. Okay, the next thing that we put out is they're not course plans, but we gave 6 pages, which we call, which Pulse called introduction drawings. And so it was just a rendering. The second page is what they would see for the contents of the plans. So there's 2 volumes related to core and shell and site. The second volume would be the tenant improvements. And then the third would be the furniture, fixtures, and equipment and medical equipment. And then third would be the site plan. And then I think the rest of the pages are just floor plans, and then floor plans as it relates to the security levels. And so that's just, again, to give them an idea of what the mental health hospital is going to look like. And then the last 3 documents are very typical in architect and contractor world. These are the contracts that they would enter into with Sedgwick County, between contractor and Sedgwick County. So these are basically AIA contracts. And this has been worked out between our legal department, and then we brought in a third-party legal attorney firm that specializes in contract law. And so these documents were done by them, and then looked through by our legal department, our finance department, and then, of course, we pass it on to the state for their review. And so that is a collaboration on these contracts between those parties. So I am happy to answer any questions. And of course, Scott is here. I've got Kirk Sponsel, who is representative of our law office, and Andrew Diltz, who is also assisting in this project.
Tanya, could you maybe just describe the review process then too, or so?
Oh, sure. Be glad to.
So there's one more release event. The actual formal bid process starts on the 24th of October when all the construction documents are available. But then could you just maybe walk through that?
Sure.
Maybe the review process. You already talked about the timeline.
You bet. So the bids will come in on the 24th, and I think we have either a week or just short of just a little bit longer than a week. And so what will happen there is we will have the bids and the qualifications that are submitted with that. And then our team, which will include legal, it will include our ARPA consultants, it will include purchasing, of course, Andrew and myself, which is indicative of the facilities department. And then we will include the KDAD's team as well as the architectural team, who will review those qualifications of bidders. And then we will also review those bids. And so that will then dictate who receives the award for the contract. But basically what happens is we will put in, if you will, those that meet the qualifications into a bucket. And then from there, what happens then is we will review the bids, and we're looking for the best and lowest bid. That meets so basically what meets our charter resolution on that.
Thanks for that. Questions from panel members about the documents, or, and I think it's fair to say if you have a channel or a place where you'd want to make that available, post it to people, let people know it's there so that we get a good representative, or not representative, but just bidders that would be qualified that would be interested. We'd certainly appreciate that. We've, from the state side, we posted that same information, links to the information in the Kansas Register as well, and kind of through the paths for that state building projects would go through. Again, it's a little different because it's not coming to the state and they're not looking at a state site to request it. It's going to the counties, but we've got that posted in the Kansas Register. So again, we're trying to reach out to a broad group.
And if I could just add on that, we have a link on the front of our website. Of course, that's the mental health hospital updates. So we have one box that's dedicated to the actual construction bid. So if you click that link, then it will go directly to where the plans and all that information that I just showed you. It goes directly to that. So, and of course, so you can now find it on 2 sites on our website. So we're trying to make it as easy to find as possible for those that are looking for that information.
Questions or comments?
Scott, this is Jason. Just one question. Have they already built in contingency on this project? Or how will they, as they come out with the, if we have the initial 50%, then as we get closer and closer to final drawings, what's our budget control? Or is there a precedent that the state typically wants the contractor to use?
A good question. So we've got a total amount that's appropriated for the project, and not all of it's for construction, but most of it is. And we put that number in that 2-page document that Tanya showed, just so I guess vendors would see sort of the total budget or the total project budget. Maybe Basil Sherman from Pulse would be better to answer the question about contingencies. I don't think we're asking in the bid documents or the bid document that's going to come out of how the general contractors will respond. If there's a contingency, they're building in there as well, after they look at all the hard costs, labor, if there's a contingency that's expected. But we're trying to give them the expectation that there's a total budget for the project and we're not going to exceed it, and see where the bids come in from there. But basically, you have a different explanation or a different way of explaining it than that.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of 2 different levels of the contingency. There's one that would be held by the state and the county outside of the actual sort of construction number, just for unforeseen items. But we have in the bid documents, we're basically setting this up as what we're calling a bid GMP, meaning even though it is competitively bid, the contractors have to hold a contingency within their bids as a fixed percentage. If I recall correctly, it was 5% above their bid number to cover bid gaps and or issues that would arise, and it would be jointly managed between the county in this case, because they're managing the contract, and the contractors, meaning that it's not a slush fund they can access, but when each party agrees to that, the money can be accessed, and it has a valid need to be accessed, not just an error on their part. That part of that is in the budget, so it's not an aggressive free for all on change orders and things like that. So that is in the bid documents and the bid form for it to come out that way.
Perfect. You answered my question. Thank you.
And if the bids come in a lot higher than that overall project budget that we've got, we'll have to look at that and see if there's an alternate that we'd want to shift, or I have to go get more money from legislature. A couple of different paths after that, the bids come in. But thanks for that question. Other questions or comments?
Scott, this is Claudio. Tanya, are you getting any vibes from any contractors or even the architect? There's a lot of big projects going on at the same time. I'm just thinking this tightened time schedule, is it going to frighten some of them away just because they're already overcommitted?
Is this Claudio? Claudio, so
Yeah,
anything that we get as far as interest, we have to direct that to purchasing. What I will tell you is there have been a couple of questions related to the information that we put out. And so we have directed them to purchasing. I will just tell you from my perspective, that's good news.
good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments?
Yeah, I mean, similarly, we obviously are directing people to the county website and ultimately purchasing from questions we've gotten, but we haven't heard any solid commitments, but have heard from enough contractors of asking when the bids are coming out and when, what the status of the project is, that I do think there's definitely excitement out there. I mean, does that mean there's excitement for 5 GCs versus 20? I don't think we know that, but I definitely think there's enough that we'll get competitive bids on it.
Okay, you can let that sit for a little bit if you have more questions. I guess I would just, as a reminder to the panel members, we're all bound, or we've talked about open meetings and the procurement process before, and not that you don't remember that, but I do feel like I should remind you as chair, if you did get contact from a contractor or somebody who's potentially a contractor or a subcontractor, that's fine that they reach out to you, but please direct their questions to the Sedgwick County Purchasing Office, to that main page on the Sedgwick County page, so they can all be part of the same process. You're not expected to share any information. You shouldn't share any information, and that's what the procurement process protects all of you from. But anyway, you've all been informed. If you feel like you need a refresher or you have a question, certainly reach out to me or Tanya, and we'll be happy to answer that or get it directed to county purchasing so they can get it to the right spot and not create any conflicts. Okay, we got a 7th panel member, so I am going to try to approve the minutes here in just a second, but I think I'll do the other project updates, so that can be the last thing. I'm listed as doing a project update, but I have an acting superintendent for the project, so I think it'd be better I'm going to ask her to provide the update from the state. So, Arena, if you could, if you had a couple of comments to make, now's the time for that.
Good afternoon. Irina Yarmenko, acting superintendent for the new hospital. So just a couple of updates. We have posted position for the director of facility services this week, hoping to bring a qualified person in December, in time to start being an active part of the construction project as well. Also continuing to work on the organizational design overall and working to bring on a consulting company that would help us with finalizing both the organizational design from the licensure and certification perspective, and also take steps to review some of the requirements in the construction documents for life safety and other things, but also be our partner as we move forward with each step of the project. We are also actively working on developing a plan for state licensure, Joint Commission certification, and accreditation and CMS certification, and that will be informed by the decisions on the program for the hospital. We have started a steering committee that is going to meet monthly now to make decisions on some of the program questions and in general organizational design going forward. We are collecting some data for the last couple of years that we're hoping to share at our next meeting in December, along with some of the decisions that we're going to make about the program. And based on those decisions, we'll know more about how we are going to proceed with the Joint Commission certification or accreditation and CMS certification.
Great. Just that was great, Rena. Thank you for doing it. The steering committee is internal to KDAD, so our work team, it's a little bit more than just terminology change, but our work team of the Larned and Osawatomie and our behavioral health staff at KDAD's, it was very task oriented over the summer of looking at plans, looking at the architectural drawings. What we're shifting that is into more of a steering committee role so they can be advisory, not meet as frequently, which was the other request, which makes a lot of sense, but also help kind of more guide program design, how this building fits into our overall structure of state hospitals and behavioral health. That's an internal planning group, and bringing in our clinical teams, which we hadn't done entirely before. So that's the other value add that we're bringing to the project as we're thinking about construction happening, but also designing the program. So thanks for that. Any questions for Irina on her update? Or if there are things that you'd like to hear more about at either today or future meetings, happy to take that comment today too.
Scott, this is Yusha.
Yep, Senator, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure you said the steering committee is an internal planning group, right? And how many people are on that?
I haven't counted, probably, well, 15, maybe 13.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Both chief medical officers from Larned and Osawatomie. I think we've got one of the directors of nursing. Well, I don't think we tapped both of them. But it's over a dozen folks, enough that we can divide them into subgroups to work on particular parts of the project and dig into some of the questions in more detail.
So in the future, their names and everything will be public? Or is that already public?
I hadn't thought about it, but we could certainly make this group aware of it. It's really more of a way to structure our work internally, but there's no reason for that not to be a public process. Well, I don't know that we would publish our discussions necessarily or
No. Yeah, I just meant not as a public process, but just to say, here are the people that are on the committee or something.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, if that's not necessary, that's fine. But just to let people know that, they're who the leaders are of the steering committee that are going to be making those decisions.
No, that's a good suggestion. Yeah, we can do that for our December meeting. Other questions for Irina? Okay, I wanted to give our Pulse design group partners a chance for an update. Basil, any updates from your shop?
Excuse me. Not beyond what Tanya covered. I mean, she pretty well covered it in terms of bidding documents and timing. Documents are progressing. Submittals to the reviewing authorities are being put together and ready to be submitted. We've scheduled some time with KDHE to start that process with their leaders. So yeah, we're close to wrapping up that part of the process.
It's been a lot of back and forth, and if you're not getting a sense of urgency in our work or the time compression, we're certainly feeling it. So it's but thank you for your support and partnership through that as well. Any questions for Basil or
Absolutely.
Pulse? Okay. That's all the project updates that we had for today. Maybe I'll go back to our agenda item on approval of the minutes from our September 20th meeting that are attached to the meeting notice. Any corrections, additions, deletions to the minutes as they were circulated?
No, I'll make a motion to approve, Scott. This is Mary.
Mary Jones made a motion. Is there a second?
I can second. This is Sarah Lopez.
Mr. Lopez seconded. Any discussion about the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye if you're able,
Aye.
Aye.
and no if you're able. Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved. Any other items to come before the panel for today? Again, I don't think we'll have a reason to meet in November, particularly since we'll be in the middle of the bid process, and that's probably better not to have more information circulating around at that point than not. So we'll schedule a time in December. We'll again look at the third Friday. I don't know what day that is, but we'll look at that week and see if we can squeeze things in before holiday busyness happens. And if we need, again, I think we could probably do that one virtually as well. We'll see how things go, but that'll be a big announcement for the general contractor and something we definitely want to share. Okay, if there isn't anything else for today, make you do a motion to adjourn when everybody's virtual, but thank you for your time today. Thanks again for being available for the updates. We'll get this posted. And if you, again, take a look at the materials, if something comes up from that, feel free to reach out. Okay, thank you all for your time.
Thank
Have a
you.
great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.